Hey folks, it's Steve and Paul. We've been talking for a long time about all the great conversations that we have with each other and with other people that come into Paul's shop here, HTF The Survival Store in Anderson, South Carolina. And we sort of got the idea about sharing this with some of you. And so today we've finally gotten around to it, finally sat down during this busy springtime and are going to just have a little chat and talk about just a couple of things that have been going on. Paul?
Well, and very timely, this is the day after the Manchester Ariana Grande, sorry, I'm not hip, I don't know the exact name, but Ariana Grande bombing, and watching that last night, watching it unfold as a prepper, and I'm sure you do the same thing. As a prepper, you hear something about a bombing or attack, you kind of glue yourself to the Twitter feed and the blogosphere and everything else going on.
Definitely.
And see what's going on. So that was kind of an interesting thing last night.
Yeah, and oddly enough, I had come in today, and Paul and I planned to get together for this, and we were just going to do some sort of general intro on just different things we've got going on. But Paul really wanted to talk about this, and I actually had given it a lot of thought, last night and this morning. So hey, let's roll with it. Paul, you had some general ideas about the whole thing?
Yeah, and I don't mean to take anything away from anything, and anything that I say here, and I don't, it's a horrific event, and attacking children is inexcusable, no matter who you are or what you do. But what I thought was interesting, and the very first videos that I saw, I didn't see any videos of the bomb. Usually you see some devastation or something going on. The very first videos I saw were kids panicking. I saw the picture, the video of all you hear the blast, and you see all the kids running to the exits and things. And one of the videos I saw later, and also heard it this morning, was a woman being interviewed, and she talked about a woman that was in a wheelchair, and everybody was running around this person on a near stairwell or something like that. She helped push this woman or get this woman off to the side and things. The very thing that I hit, and it wasn't even determined it was a bomb yet, but I was like, wow, if they don't have casualties because of stampede, this classic panic. And I understand these are kids, these are teenagers for the most part. I understand, like an 8-year-old was killed, and we're still finding out information, and that's why I don't want to be flippant about this in any way, shape, or form. But man, what a way to change people's opinions about things. To have that blast and in an environment where you're gonna have a mass panic. All these girls, young ladies, just running, panicking, just crazy. I watched a video of somebody with their camera on, just running down the street, just run. There's, as preppers, we think about these things. We sit in a restaurant and we sit with our backs to the walls, and I don't know about you, I've done that since I read my first dime store novel as a kid. And maybe that's a male thing, I don't know, but I know a lot of women who are preppers too that think that way. You're thinking about protecting yourself at all times. You've got that what's that?
Situational awareness.
Thank you. That's what I was trying to think of. Situational awareness. And obviously, as a 20-year-old, I probably had a degree of it. Probably nothing like what you had with your situation. But as a 20-year-old girl at a concert, you're not thinking about what could actually happen. You're not thinking about where the exits are.
Yep.
And there's a reason why in theaters they tell you, hey, the exits are over here, they're over there. There's a reason why they do that. But I'd probably be texting if I was a 20-year-old girl. I'd probably be texting and not paying attention. So.
And you need to go ahead and teach your whole family about this, because I see this is getting more common over the next decade, unless something drastic happens. Anywhere you go, you need to know alternate exits. Paul talked about sitting with his back against the wall. in a restaurant, I don't do so much that. I like to see the entrance, and I like to know where the exit is other than the way I came in, or at least if I can't go back there and look, at least see, okay, well, the kitchen's back there, so that would be my alternate escape route, because there's generally a door from the kitchen. Now, why do I say this is going to become more prevalent? Well, good golly, I don't want to go too much in depth in it now, but we're in the thick of this, and everybody that I talk to that's not awake and aware seems to think that this is a European problem and it's not going to happen too much over here. San Bernardino was sort of an exception, but whoa, 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 what about Fort Lauderdale? What about the Orlando nightclub shooting? This is happening more and more. And I will tell you, and my firm belief, that Barack Obama has seeded little communities of refugees into our more conservative states. I have a friend, a viewer actually, who's from a small town in Idaho, and that town had, let's say, 3,000 people that lived there. Well, they took on 500 Muslim refugees. Now, if you've heard me talk, you know, if you just see me for the first time, you can call me a racist. I really don't care. Okay, it's not Muslims that are the problem, it's radical Islam. And radical Islam currently is the predominant voice within Islam. That change needs to come from within. I'm getting a little bit off track, but to steer it back on, what I'm saying is, so now that small community in that rural state that was 3,000 people now has 500 people that will vote in block, 500 people that have 8 babies to our 1 baby. And guess what? It is going to be a growing population within our nation, whether we like it or not. You are still seeing radicalization coming across the internet, and everybody has access to this, and it's a future problem. I did a video about the Fort Lauderdale incident and lessons learned. You ought to look that up, because when Paul and I started talking today, that's a lot of what we started talking about. And you talk about this panic and these stampedes. Now, the one camera shot that I remember, and it's been played 50,000 times already, is somebody's got their cell phone camera going, and you hear a boom far away, and everybody starts panicking. And this person is sort of near an arena exit, but not going out it yet. Well, you've got to teach your family, okay, look at the threat and look at the overall situation, quickly assess it, because that boom was not in that arena, it was outside that arena. Common terrorist tactics are to target the exits, to target where responders will go, where people will flee to. So it might be better if you instructed your teenage daughter, okay, she's looked, she knows that it's from outside the arena, hunker down right there and just assess the situation for a couple of minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And that was, you hear the calm voice of the announcer in one of the videos. You know, don't push the exits. You've got time. Please go.
Yeah.
You know, it reminds me of a Fatboy Slim song that I have, but in my Rolodex. But you know, you hit on something else too, though. That was the number of people who have. And they're talking about in the UK, the number of people who have gone to these ISIS camps and things, and have become radicalized and have come back to the UK. And I've published several different things over the last couple of years. I remember the little boy or child, 3 years old, with a bunny rabbit, cutting the head off the stuffed bunny rabbit. You know, the assimilating into our groups, our schools and things like that.
Our government, they'll soon be our elected officials soon.
Yeah, well, that's another point is I'm going to make about the illegal thing that's going on right now too. But yeah, assimilating into us, almost like sleeper cells, which they basically are. But I don't have kids, and that really scares me. It would scare me even worse if I had kids. To think that okay, my kid's now going to school with some kid who knows how to cut off another kid's head.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
that's terrifying.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy was 22 or 23 years old or something like that blew himself up. You know, he probably couldn't get into, maybe I hope security was good enough that he couldn't get in to the event. But imagine
supposedly he didn't even try.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
just he was on the subway platform or whatever, and everybody was coming out, and hey, that's good enough. Don't have to mess with security.
Yeah, imagine a soccer game or a football game here in the United States.
When it happened at a couple of these airport shootings recently, they talked about, well, we're going to back it further. We're going to back it further. The security, the line of security. Well, it doesn't matter. You've got to come in and go out at some point, and wherever that is, that's where the attack will occur, because it's easier than trying to smuggle something through security.
Well, I used to travel through Hartsville, Jackson Airport all the time, and the mass of people that were at the ticket line and in line for the security line.
Yeah.
It just always went through my head. Man, this would be the right place if I was
Most definitely.
an idiot.
Now, if you don't understand how this is going to impact you, this kind of attack, I mean, it seems so far away in Manchester and or Paris or Nice or wherever, but there's a lot closer to home. Well, take a look. It'd be worth 10 minutes of your time to look up on CBS website. They did a story on one of their Sunday morning news shows, and it's titled Aftermath. And just go ahead and take a look at that, because it's about an American family that was involved in the Brussels bombing, and how it has. Mom's dead and gone. The daughter, she's just about lost a leg. You know, it's rippled through the family, and it's ripped them apart. And here they are after that, trying to recover and trying to get back on their feet. And how much fear the oldest daughter, for example, still has. She has guilt feelings, she has fear feelings, and how it's affected their whole life. Imagine now, fast forward 10 years, and you've got checkpoints in town. You've got to get screened before you go into the mall, or get on a Amtrak or a subway or whatever. And every once in a while, every few weeks, there's a detonation that you either hear firsthand or you read about on the news, where somebody's detonated an IED, a suicide bomb, whatever, and it's killed a bunch of innocents. And this is build the wall. I'm all about security nowadays. Forget it. I've experienced it overseas. I don't want to see it here.
You mentioned the Muslim community, and things. There's a court case going on right now that is in regards to female genital mutilation. And you know, I was listening to a radio talker this morning here in town, and she was talking. Well, you know what's going to happen. They're gonna compare it to circumcision, things like that. But it's you know, and if this gets if they allow it to go, then you've basically approved Sharia law here in the United States.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, female genital mutilation is not even close to the same thing. I've seen some things online where people try to compare it, but not even close. So, you know, that's a whole other battle that's going on in the United States, and that's a legal battle. But you know, we're not hearing about it. I read something a few weeks ago about it and posted something on Facebook blog.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, this was actually a doctor that has performed numerous FGMs here in the U.S. You know, this Muslim doctor, and he's getting either gotten arrested or sued or whatever. And you're looking at, being that we're already in a situation where the courts have been allowed to legislate, or our activist courts have been allowed to stomp out our own laws or alter our own laws with rulings. This is very scary to me, you know. And this is a big one, but there are a lot of little subtle ways that this sort of creeps in. And the first thing is, the first sort of thing is, well, at our public pool, you know, we're petitioning to have a ladies-only day because, you know, women's self-esteem and body issues, and we want them to just be able to relax it. And to the average person, this sounds like, oh yeah, yeah, that's no big deal. But the next thing is they're prosecuting someone for, or attempting to prosecute them or sue them for walking into the pool on Ladies' Day inadvertently or whatever. So it's just little ways that sort of chip away at Western culture. And this is our culture.
And to confuse that whole issue is the whole gender issue that we get
Yeah,
into. And,
yeah,
you know,
every
the
day.
blogger that I told you about a month or so ago about the woman that was at Disney World, and a man walked into the women's restroom and just kind of stood there and watched women come and go and stuff. And she kind of changed her opinion on gender issues
Sure.
because of that. Like,
Sure.
totally freaked her out. So
Absolutely.
all that kind of stuff. It's we're in a weird time, that's for sure.
Definitely, and the liberal media, you know, they're out to make a buck, and you know they are more than that. They're supporting the progressive agenda, and the progressive agenda is wanting to be the new world order. And so when they see things about, stories about bikinis on French beaches, well, to us it might seem ridiculous. You know, why are we giving women tickets for wearing whatever they want on the beach? They should be able to wear whatever they want. Well, that's step one, and step two is that the Muslim men on the beach start throwing stones and soda bottles or whatever at women that are wearing bikinis and driving them off the beach, you know, calling them bad names and everything else. And there's step two. Now you don't feel safe going to your own beach anymore and wearing what you want to wear. But it all started out as, oh, shouldn't we all be able to wear what we want? So it's just a small way of taking a stand on the French beaches. You know, it's about culture. It's about a cultural war. Like I said earlier, if you call me a racist, well, first off, you're wrong. I'm not talking about a race. I'm talking about a branch of a religion. I'm talking about a radicalization.
Somebody who's hijacked a religion.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And so, you know, you've got some choices to make, and when you hear these news stories, you really need to give it a think. But we're getting a little bit off track because we were going to talk about the bombing at the concert. You can't alter your way of life as far as surrendering to it. You can't say, no, honey, you can't go to the concert because there might be a terrorist bomb. Now you can say you can't go to the concert because you might drink and you might smoke dope or whatever like that. Yeah, sure. But you want to give your family the tools that they need. Not to go into some place that they don't know multiple ways to get out of. Not to put themselves in harm's way, as Paul so eloquently put it, or tried to, situational awareness. You've got to have situational awareness to what's going on around you. It's just like growing up in a bad neighborhood or something.
And have a plan too.
Yep.
I mean, look at how many people were posting pictures. Hey, I can't find this, and it may still be happening. I don't know. Can't find this family. Can't find this family member or whatever. So, okay, honey, you're gonna go to the concert. You know, I want you to check in at this time. If you can't, you know, whatever the plan might be. Or if we get separated, we've got to meet at this location. I mean, this is basic stuff.
Absolutely.
You know, and one thing I tell people here is if you're going to like Disney World, take a picture of your kid before you go to Disney World with what they're wearing and everything.
Yeah,
You know, you've got to, you know, this is the digital age. You don't have to wait for the film to be developed. I can take a picture of Steve right now and have it up on the web in 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
You know, there's no reason not to do that. Build your plan. Have a contingency plan.
Yep. Oh, nice. But you definitely, to take it further, when you're driving, this is where you've been taught in defensive driving, you know, to be looking ahead, and you want to look near, middle, far, and you want to say, okay, what's that guy on the left going to do? Is he going to pull out? If he pulls out suddenly, what am I going to do? How am I going to react? Do I have room to get in the other lane? Am I going too fast to slow down, et cetera, and so on? Well, you need to apply that to the rest of your life. And, I mean, that's what you need to do. You need to rehearse these things as you as you are coming upon situations, and just do dry runs in your head. It's not living in fear, it's just being smart about things. A problem with the progressives and the liberals that you may know is they don't recognize what threat is. They think an assault is a different opinion than their own. They see global warming as the biggest problem in the world, and they strangely don't see any problem with radical Islam. And there are tons of people walking around town like this that they don't recognize a real threat when they see it. So that's a problem. So you want to sit down with your family and talk to them a bit, and make sure they're on the same sheet of music and they understand, to have a plan.
And something else I saw a lot of tweets about,
Twits.
was about, this is a concert venue, this is where people go to relax and forget about things, and why can't we all just get along, love, this music's about love and things like that. Love is great, not going to deny love in any way, shape, or form, but use your brain at the same time. Be aware that not everything can be fixed by love.
Yeah. When I hear that kind of talk, I think just appeasement, and if I say, well, I'm gonna give the bully my lunch money, guess what? He's gonna keep coming back and taking it again and again, and next he's gonna want my watch or my whatever.
I love my family, that's why, and I think most people love their families. That's why you should have these plans. That's why you should have these discussions. Love your family first, and then you can spread that out in other areas.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I guess that's pretty much all we wanted to say on
Yeah.
this. But I got to say for Paul, so he doesn't have to do it on his own. He's my buddy, and he owns HTF, the Survival Store here in Anderson, South Carolina. As you can tell, it's in the background. He has an online store at htfsurvival.com. This is a family-owned, Paul and Kathy own the place. American, they are American, I've checked their passports. Small business, and they have competitive prices with what you find anywhere else. I need you to look to Paul's store first when you need something, and see if he can get it for you. Thanks for your time.
Thanks.
Stay
guys.
safe.